Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so last time, when I spoke, I think like 2 years ago, I was only supposed to speak for half an hour, and I spoke for like an hour and a half or something, and everybody kindly stayed. So I'll try not to do that this time, keep an eye on the clock. But as some of you might think that I'm a student here, but I'm not. I'm just always here. I graduated from Harvey Med College up in Claremont, the Claremont Colleges in 2005, so it's been a while. Got a degree in engineering and mathematical economics, double major. And I'm not trying to brag, but I'll get to this in a little bit. Harvey Med College, where I went to school, is the, well, usually number 1 or 2 engineering school in the nation, depends on the year. Afterwards, I became a stock trader while I was sick in bed because I couldn't go anywhere, so I could trade stocks from my computer. And I got to consult for Wall Street companies, having them teach me how to trade stocks, and I build websites and media stuff for them. So got into that, and then started launching different companies with them, and so I just got into all the web business and things like that. And now I'm also doing web and media stuff for LA entertainers, just because New York and Chicago, that's so far away. I like being out here. So that's kind of my list. But you know what? I don't really like to be defined by titles. That's kind of what people would want you to write when they introduce you. I don't like titles, or even my disease that kind of hinders me, because we're not what our titles and our circumstances are. We're how we act, what we believe, our philosophies, and how we act. So for me, the thing that I would define myself as is I endure a lot. I'm really good at enduring and taking a lot of pain, and that might not sound like a great start to a lunch event, but that's what I'm here to talk about. Because I know everybody goes through a lot of hard things, and as you go through life and go through different phases, all the time you're facing things that seems really hard to bear. So that's what I'm really good at. Like right now, all the food you're eating, that's hurting me. That's giving me a headache. That's burning my throat. I'm fighting to breathe. My nervous system is kind of going spikely, like spider sense. And what else? My skin hurts. I'm pushing through to stand up. But being here is more exciting than just laying at home like I do all the time anyway. So I mean, getting out is a big part of, I love coming out. So I won't get too much into what I have yet, because that's the mystery that I had to figure out throughout my life. So I want to keep that. I guess some of you guys already know, but I'm going to kind of keep that hidden. So backstory. Take a journey back with me in 1982, 32 years ago, October. I was born supposedly healthy, so they let me go back home. And immediately I was crying, wouldn't stop, couldn't eat at all. And somehow we made it to the 2-week checkup, and they diagnosed me as having allergies and eczema, which is skin allergy, so swelling hands and feet and cracking skin, things like that. But they didn't know how bad, so they said milk is pretty bad, so you don't want to drink milk. They said, why don't you try soy milk? But I don't know if any of you guys, when you go shopping, if you look on the cartons, now they'll say soy allergies, gotta be careful. But back in 1982, they didn't know that, so they just said, oh, if you can't drink milk, try soy milk. So that didn't work out too well, but we didn't know it wasn't like a severe thing. It was just constantly just building up underneath. My mom had to keep the house spotless, and as it got a little bit older and I started eating solid food, we figured out that any tiny bit of something that I can't have, any tiny contaminant like eggs or something, if she didn't like scrub it 10 times over and just like heat it so all that is gone, I would get sick. So I just had a separate set of pots and pans, and she had to be super meticulous, and nobody else could cook for me, because even when my grandma or her friends came and tried to how well they would mess up, and I would end up in the ER really fast. And then 7 months, I developed asthma, which is another allergy thing, which is you're having trouble breathing, you're reacting to things not through the skin, but through breathing. So when people ask me, do you prefer, warm weather or do you prefer colder weather? Well, warm weather, my skin gets really itchy. So above 70 degrees, my skin gets really itchy, it gets really bad. Below, my asthma kicks in and I can't breathe. And so I freak out, and then my skin gets really itchy because I'm tense and I'm fighting and nervous. So there's no perfect spot for me, so it's just always going on. So that's when I'm saying like enduring stuff. It's not like some diseases where you get a little breaks in between or you just have the potential for something to happen. It's always happening. It's always a strain. And so even until my 20s, I was being rushed to the ER mostly because of asthma attacks, because asthma kills you faster than skin allergies. You can die in like 5 minutes. And even when we got there, the doctors would just look at how broken my skin was, and they would freak out. They were just scared at it while I was there choking. They would just stare at my skin and not really sure where to start helping me or what to do. So my mom or I would have to tell them, go do this, give me this medication, give me how much. So we always had to be on point. So it was always like in the battle zone. I know Brother Roselle loves this, but I really see myself as my life. Like I like military movies because I kind of see how that's how my life is every single day. So my asthmas would get so severe that on the way to the ER, asthma, you're tensing up like this, right? So I would get so severe that the spasms would cause me to puke up things, even if there was nothing, just because my whole body was spasming, that it was so out of control that body fluids were coming up. So that was something none of the doctors have ever seen before. So by the time I was finally 2 years old, they finally had an allergy test to do. I don't know if you guys ever seen it, but there are these pricks that they can kind of prick your skin, kind of see where you're allergic to. Well, they pricked it a little bit, and within, I guess instantly, my whole arm swelled. So the nurse had a tourniquet off my arm before it got to my heart, or I would have gone into shock. So they couldn't even test me because I was so untouchable. I was like a bomb waiting to happen. So it was just getting by, and finally by the time I was 4 years old, they had a new allergy test where you can take the blood and kind of see how severe your allergies are, and everything for me was off the charts. Like they couldn't tell how bad it was. It just we can't deal with this. So for almost a year, I ate only potatoes, water, and turkey because they think it was the best, like the least allergic for me. But I didn't get better, and actually the malnutrition made me worse. So the takeaway from just the first 4 or 5 years of my life is, well, first of all, we couldn't really trust anybody, but also you just kind of see like the limits of what people can do. All these famous doctors with plaques on their walls and amazing research, and they've always been really proud people. And but the moment they see me, they freak out. I can just see that fear and loss in their eyes whenever I see a doctor, and just know that they can't really help me. So I guess some people would get mad or disappointed in doctors and kind of blame them for things, but for me, it was always that I had so much going on that just had to go on to the next thing, that we didn't have time to stop until almost 30 years later to think. And by now, it's kind of water under the bridge. It doesn't really bother me anymore that they didn't know, because really they're human after all. Maybe they act like they're not. Maybe they act like they're better than that, but they're not. So just a little bit more about how severe it was. Each morning I would wake up and the pile of skin would, we would dump down a film kind of like a bucket like this deep. And I've never stopped scratching my whole life. So my fingers are kind of distorted because of how severely I was intensely scratching myself. And my doctors even tried giving me antihistamines that could, well, he said knock out a horse, but I think he was exaggerating a tiny bit, but definitely a large adult, and it would do nothing for me, so that would just glance right off. So how did I hang on for, as a kid, right? Well, there was a handicapped girl next door, and she couldn't really even drink for herself. She was one of these completely swollen up like a little T-Rex or something, and she would just drool all the time, and basically she had no surviving capabilities. So my mom would just tell me, I still have a lot going for me. I could still kind of sit there and kind of wheeze and pant over my desk and think and write and draw and do stuff. So that's kind of what kept me going was my mind. I could think. I could do academic stuff. I could work. I could keep studying. So for me, a lot. And you'll see other people that are disabled that they've done amazing things. Stephen was the famous physicist. Yeah. I mean, look at him. He's he can barely talk, and he can still travel the world and write books and stuff like that. So there's a quote by Elder Holland it's actually talking about marriage. How do I love thee? But I like this quote in that it says, "In a world of varied talents and fortunes that we can't always command, I think that makes even more attractive the qualities we can command, such as qualities of thoughtfulness, patience, a kind word, and true delight in the accomplishment of others." So that's both as in like what you can appreciate in other people, but also what you could feel like you're actually accomplishing doing, even if your situation isn't ideal. As long as you have control of your mind and soul, your will to progress, to study, to pray, things like that. That's really all you need. And the second thing that a lot of the successful people that I've met, we're all irrationally confident, kind of like because you're kind of delirious about what reality is, because I shouldn't be here, and a lot of people in the Olympics, they shouldn't be there either, or people that have invented stuff, and Edison trying, I don't know, like 10,000 or 100,000 different filaments for a light bulb, things like that. Somebody would have said, after 1,000, I'm not getting this. This is insane. Like I spent my whole fortune on it. But when you decide on something that's going to be real for you, and you just kind of pursue that, you can do so much more than you think you can. Sounds kind of cheesy, but that's kind of how I've always done it. And like I didn't believe what my limitations are, like where I could go. So I've always gone to school, even though I missed most of the days. I have asthma, but I play trumpet in the band and march the Rose Parade, which is kind of dumb because I had an asthma attack for the whole 4 or 5 hours. I was on route behind rose petals and whatever. But I apply this same stupid confidence to when I'm talking to CEOs or when I'm interviewing producers and stuff like that. I'm not afraid to ask them things or afraid to do anything, just because of whatever other people think of them or whatever I should or other people think I should be doing. I just know this is what I'm going to do. So I guess like part of that point is don't get sucked into Jedi mind tricks of people saying, you can, or like limiting the beliefs of like this is what you can, what you can't do, or what you're supposed to do. got to figure it out for yourself. You got to test it out for yourself, and then if it's really not for you, then don't do it. But yeah, so how did I get past that? When I was about 9 years old, I went to Taiwan, where my parents are from, to learn Mandarin, and there we met a chi master, chi energy, like internal energy healing kind of thing. But at the time, I didn't trust anybody at all. I just thought anybody that touched me, anybody that worked on me would kill me. But first of all, he offered there was no needles, no medication, and then I could do it myself. So I kind of like being in control of, at least if somebody screws up, they'll be, I'm doing it. And so there's one winter, the first winter, where I was so sick that my whole body had turned purple. It was Chinese New Year, so nothing was open, and I was breathing cold breath. So I was, people, you see me and you touch me, you think I'm dead. But he was willing to help. Even on the holiday, he came to the rescue, and after about 4 hours of doing, cheese, almost like magic stuff on me, I got better. But what seems like a miracle is kind of what happened after, where usually if I had pneumonia or something at a hospital and went to the ER, it would take me 3 or 4 months to get better. Well, after this chi treatment, I was, well, the next day I was up running around. I was better than I've ever been. I looked healthy and strong, and I was just perfect. So that's what sustained me from 9 years old to 23 years old, and I actually stopped all medication. So it was just chi. I practiced it, and I could actually call my master in Taiwan, and he could do it from halfway across the globe. And that makes sense on the relative, quantum physics relativity thing, but I won't get into that. I found later in college when I was studying that it made sense. But so that bought time, and so during that time, I kind of took it upon myself that it was my responsibility to cure myself, because nobody else in the world seems to know what was actually wrong. And even though chi was helping me, so my life was like this, and the chi kind of like stabilized it, so I was like nearly flat, maybe improving slightly. It wasn't gonna solve anything. So I just went into a crazy work mode where I was determined to get into the best school and do everything I possibly could in high school to get into the best school, so that I could do my own research in college and after college and try to kind of cure myself, which is kind of desperate. But after every single doctor that screwed up, because everybody that tried to kill me, or try to heal me, would kill me, I thought it was like the only option left. And so, like I said, I played in the Rose Play, played band. I studied 10 times harder than other people, even though they thought I was just smart. I wasn't. I just, all the time I was sick, I was studying. I was valedictorian along with like 20 other people, because everybody got straight A's at my school. So it didn't really mean anything. But what I guess like what that built into me was I didn't give myself a choice of giving up. We talk a lot about agency and choices in the church, and for me, giving up, it's a choice. It's not like an easy one. It's a very hard thing to get into, but I still think it's a choice. I love this quote that Will Smith talked about like how he works at his life. He says, you might have more talent than me, you might be smarter than me, but if we're in a race and we get on a treadmill together, there's two things that's going to happen. Either you're going to get off first, or I'm going to die, because I'm not going to get off before you are. So that's just that's how I approached from high school all the way to college. And I've seen other people that didn't just decide on they're gonna not give up no matter what. They're my friends that weren't nearly as bad, but people just gave him way too much steroids. My friend went mostly blind, even though he didn't have to, because his parents didn't know what they're doing. And this other girl with severe allergies, but not as severe as mine. The medication that she took too much of just because she couldn't take the pain is preventing her from healing as fast as I am now. Like, I can come out here now because of all those years in between where I was doing the cheating and I didn't take any medication, so my body wasn't being damaged. It was actually detoxing along the way. So I guess, at least personally for me, and I guess as you guys go on to college and other things in life, is you want to be in control. You want, like, when we went to the doctor, we want to be able to know what we're going to tell them to heal me. If they're confused, you're not just going to sit there like, oh, you're confused, but you can just still do whatever you want. We want the ball in our hands if we can. And so I love Brigham Young's spirit when he teaches that when there's something that he can understand, he would pray to the Lord, give me patience until I can understand it for myself. You want to be there in the process with it, not just just do it for me. I don't know what I'm doing. I've tried my best. Just do it for me. He wanted to stay in there until he could be a part of it, no matter how small a part of it. So, along with that, one of the main philosophies that I try to live with is not having any regrets. Part of it is because I didn't know which moment was going to be my last, but also I didn't want to carry around all these burdens where I already have so much stuff going on. So, both the, being the last, not knowing which day is going to be my last, I want to make sure every time I speak to somebody, I don't, say anything that I want to take back, or I don't say something that I would want to say, and just keep stay in my mind, because I don't know when's the next time I'm ever going to speak to them. Okay, so yeah, I willed myself into college, and I did all that, but after junior year of college, everything kind of broke apart. I mean, it was kind of, you can kind of see it, right? Like, I shouldn't even be out anywhere now. I'm doing all these things that would make normal people sick. So things really fell apart. My hands started bleeding all over, so I had to take a semester off. There was no skin on my hands at all. It was just dripping. So like every day, would just bandage it up, and then would have to unwrap it, and it just hurt so much that I would pass out from the pain and then wake up and then do it all over again. We went to Taiwan to be closer to Chief Master, and it got it mostly fixed, but I realized that the future that I've been working so hard for, all the years in school and all the fighting and trying to take it on myself to cure myself, wasn't going to happen because I wasn't going anywhere. I'm still too far from even the starting line of where everybody else in life has started. So I did something that nobody should ever do. I got desperate, and I started pitying myself. And I got jealous of all my friends that were already hired for these major management firms and off to grad school and stuff like that. And I just felt really empty. And so, like, the lesson from that is I was basing my life on things that is of the world. It doesn't stay. It's not, I mean, it matters short term, but if it's gone, you don't want to ever be captive of these things that, the things that are pride and jealousy and things like that, or that would incur these feelings. But so what happened was I went to this famous doctor in LA. Took a lot of connections to get there. So if you're me, would you take it, right? Like, he was the authority in this in immune and things like that. So we finally got a chance to see him, and he's like, oh, yeah, we can do it. 2 shots later, I was 10 times worse. My whole body was leaking. I was bleeding everywhere, and he stopped returning my calls. So at that point, that was really the darkest hour of my life. And you know how before Joseph Smith's first vision, he felt darkness around him. I remember my darkest moment out on just this residential street where everything just sucked black and it was cold because I had no hope left, and I didn't want to exist, but I didn't know how to disappear, and I couldn't. It's my skin is stuck on me. I can't do anything with it. And I went kind of crazy. I didn't know who I was. I just rocked in the chair for a long time, trying to escape. I guess I couldn't face reality, right? And every day, just my mom would have to wrap my bandages and unwrap them. My skin would stick to my bedding, and every time I turned, it would just peel off chunks of my body, and I couldn't walk. Every time I walked, my kneecaps would pop just because my body was so deteriorating. It was just fighting every single thing that the outside world was giving in and that I had. So it wasn't until then that finally the miracles started happening. So yeah, I see some of you guys have like sick faces on. So this is what a real miracle looks like. There's a lot of stories in the scriptures, and they're all on a different continent far away. This is what happened to me, right? I was basically in my deathbed, couldn't go anywhere, watching CMT. I like country music, but they weren't showing country music that night. They were showing the Miss America pageant. So I watched like the first 10 seconds. I said, "Oh, Miss Utah's cute," so I blogged about it because I was blogging about my stock stuff at the time, right? And so I was like, "Oh, Miss Utah's kind of cute." Well, her mom contacted me, and then she contacted me later, but she was busy with all her touring around the state, so we didn't get in touch until about a year later when we just chatted, became friends, and she would call me almost every day just to see how I was. And at the time, me and my family weren't really talking just because everybody was so stressed out of running from one thing to another, and just hearing me screaming. My mom couldn't even look at, she would just bandage me and leave. So I had this other person in Utah to talk to. Never seen her, didn't know what they're like, and I started talking to her mom too, who was the person that originally contacted me. They had me watch conference, and I had nowhere to go, and I was like running out of stuff to watch on YouTube. I was in bed all day, and actually at the time, my hands were so raw that all I could really use was the tips of my fingernails, so I couldn't really use the mouse to really type or anything. So it was just kind of like this. But so that kind of put a base under me emotionally, just kind of like had somebody that cared for me, kind of keep me going. And so charity is really important. Whenever, like, she didn't think she was doing anything special, and I guess I never met a Mormon at the time either, and I just thought like maybe everybody's just friendly like that or something. But it helped. And then she competed again the next year for Miss Utah USA, which is a slightly different, which is like more of the modeling pageant that Donald Trump runs. And it was there that I met her dad, who has also skin problems, but not exactly the same, but he was also really severe that he was the first person that I talked to that seemed like he knew what he was talking about. He was so much smarter about it than any of my doctors ever been. And he recommended going to the University of Utah because that's where he's getting treated. So I I thought I was maybe one shot away from dying just because like how bad the last doctor screwed up. But I took a chance and went anyway. Flew up there. I was covered completely in bandages and had a ski mask. Well, not a ski mask, but a beanie on, and I was covered all over with it just so the flight attendants wouldn't wondering, what's wrong with this guy? They wouldn't take me off because I couldn't drive, sit through a 12-hour drive. My state, my blood was completely wrong. So I got up there, and they turned out to be the perfect doctors. They immediately knew, not immediately knew, but they knew that all the things that had been done wrong, like taking steroids spins your skin. So every time I had an emergency, they would just give you steroids because that's the standard protocol. But over time, it spin my skin so much that by the end, I didn't have anything. And then while I was up there, I went to church with my friends, and nobody looked at me weird. Like all my friends who wanted to go to clubs when we went out, they would look at me weird because I was all like stuffing out off my skin and nasty. So I started going to church just to be around people, and one of the missionaries asked me, "Oh, when are you getting baptized?" I said, "Are you kidding me? Going to water? Like I haven't been able to touch water for 10 years. Like I was like so sensitive that water would just burn through my whatever I had left, like acid." So, but he said, "Well, either we'll find a way, or we'll just keep praying for you, or we'll make an exception or something." Well, like 2 days later, when I went up to Utah again for a test, the doctors just remembered some experiment they had done a long time ago that if you put salt in water, you can touch water. So I slowly started to try that, and it worked. So after I got the miracle before even doing anything, supposedly, I just figured. Well, I had made a promise when I was a kid that whoever or whatever method or doctor or whatever saved me, I would dedicate whatever they wanted or whatever the group wanted to dedicate my life to that. And so that's kind of why I joined the church. It was a miracle out of nowhere. I had no connection to Utah. I had never heard of the U up there, and I didn't know the doctors up there. I had no connection with this family that took care of me while I was going up there, the Miss Utah family, because my mom was already too sick for taking care of me that she couldn't travel up to Utah, the higher altitude. She couldn't handle it. She would have died if it was in another state that she had to take me there. So within, I guess, like a year or so, I don't know, Tiff, did you know me back in 07 or like when I first started coming around?
I did, but not very well.
Yeah, it's kind of then that, within like 2 or 3 months, I was the best I've ever been. Like, they figured out, okay, so I guess this is all you've been waiting for. They figured out I am allergic to everything except tea and blueberries. And everything is off the charts. So how off the charts? Well, everybody has immune defenses, right? So your count is probably around 75 to 100. So you react to maybe like bee sting or something dirty just so you have a defense system. Well, my count is 22,000, and the highest on record is like before that, or like research that was like 5,000, and the guy died a long time ago. So whenever I'm in contact with anything, it's like a nuclear bomb going inside. So I'm so sensitive, it's like superpowers, where I can be on this side of campus, and maybe if there's a seafood restaurant on the other side of campus, I can smell that and start getting sick just from the vents that are on the other side of the building. And sunlight, I react to that. Wind, I can feel the rain coming in days before, and I'll start having hot sweats and cold sweats. So I don't know if it's exactly like menopause or anything, but it's like hard. Like I get some of it. Like when I describe it to my doctor, he's like, "It sounds like you're having menopause." And yeah, the emotional swings too. So I mean, that's kind of what a miracle is to me. It took 3 years, so it's not like right away, but it was so fast. Like I couldn't even handle. Like I was on top of the world. I started several businesses there just because I was so high off of life and thinking I can do anything that I traveled to New York and to be a part of a stock market conference that I had no business being there just because some hedge fund manager contacted me. He said he liked my research and he said, okay, I'll go. And I was in a room with like super billionaires and I had no idea what they were talking about, but I went anyway. People asked me to help them with their financial websites or interview these financial gurus and the producers of certain financial channels. So I said, okay, I'll do it just because I was still stuck in my room, so that kind of helped. But I was just open to all these possibilities because on the other side of this death veil, or it's not necessarily the veil itself, but I felt like every day was a gift. It was a bonus. It wasn't like, oh, now I'm going to go skydiving and take everything that I want or I missed out on. No, it's a gift, so I won't spend it whichever way that I can benefit the most people. And I did that while the only thing that I could eat was this protein shake, this prescription protein shake, because I was allergic to everything else. But that helped me grow. The first time I grew facial hair was when I was like 27, when I started drinking this thing because I never even had pores before. My skin was so damaged. And then slowly, as the treatments went on, they gave me immunosuppressants, what they give people with transplants, because people with transplants are fighting off their other people's organs. I'm fighting off everything in the world. So they gave me that, and I got a million times better, so I can eat McDonald's. So I made a video where the reason I could travel to Chicago to New York for a whole week when I was out there doing business trips, I ate McDonald's all 5 days, and then when I got back to the hotel, I would drink my prescription shake. And all these Wall Street bigwigs wanted to treat me to $1,000 steaks and give me $1,000 bottle of wine. And I said, can we go to McDonald's, please? And they were actually happy about it. Said, my wife never let me go to McDonald's, so it's a great reason. I had to treat a client to it, and he's all the way from California, so we had to go. And so I guess a lot of people think that's like a big step down, but for me, being able to eat anything and being able to go somewhere, or just being able to come out here and sleep. I never, 26 years, I never knew what sleep was until these doctors figured it out and started taking the medications. Everything is a blessing. I think we're all familiar with the scripture in Mosiah 2:21, describing how God is preserving you from day to day by lending you breath, that you may live and move and do according to your own will, and even support you from one moment to another. That's talking about me. And even the recovery process, it wasn't easy. And the hardest thing I have is with patience, just because it hurts. But now that I know, on this other side, I slowed down a bit. Before, where I was trying to achieve all these things, I was always, I was the guy tailgating people because I was trying to rush to class and trying to get more done and trying to do more research and things like that. Now I'm just sitting in traffic. I can sit here all day. This is all extra for me. And this is bonus time. I don't have to run. It's not like it's going to help anyway, and it's better to relax and think about your day or pray or think, listen to something helpful. And President Uchtdorf has this last quote where he says, "Patience required actively working towards worthwhile goals and not being discouraged when results didn't appear instantly or without effort." And so I just now I just take every opportunity, every moment to learn, to observe. You know, if I'm still tired and sick a lot, so I can always look at things and kind of see how people move, and especially when I do my video stuff, I'm always looking about how like people's expressions now and their body language and kind of understanding what they're going through. So, well, first of all, I can film it, but then as my friend, then if I see something wrong, I can go up and try to understand them or try to be a friend when I see them having a hard day. So that's basically my story. You know, one of the I think the counselors at my home ward now, he said, you know, some saints are, you know, scripture saints. They just follow the rules step by step, you know, never deviating from the rules. And he said some saints are like Urim and Thummim saints. You kind of go wherever the wind takes you or wherever you're called to go. And I guess that's how my life is like. In the beginning, I tried so hard to fight to do the school route, to go to college and the degrees and things like that, and that just wasn't the plan for me. And it wasn't until I truly understood that, and I was really broken and kind of gave up control over to, okay, tell me what to do, where do I go, like whatever you want, like I have. I'll have an opinion, but if you have a different opinion, I'll follow it. And it wasn't until then that things just kind of opened up, like going to working with Wall Street people when I was like 24, 25. These were like the CEOs of my friends that had just gone in after college. They were just starting at the bottom. I was interviewing their bosses and having dinners with them. It was just like the straight shot. Like if I had gone their route, I probably wouldn't even be talking to the boss yet. And things like that. There's so many memories and things that happened that if I had chosen to do the schoolwork and I wouldn't have met a lot of different people, even in entertainment, and got to see cool things done behind the scenes and get invited to things for free or get paid to film events that a lot of people are paying a lot of money to go see, and getting to see how other people accomplish their goals and I guess just experiencing more of life than just one career, one path. So I'm not saying that's necessary for you, but I guess there's so many points along the way in life where things won't always make sense, whether it's like my chi treatment, it didn't make sense to anybody. And when I was younger, my mom didn't let me do it because it didn't make sense to her, so that's kind of like a pride, like I know better. Sometimes you work out your mind, you think about it, and you test it out. But there are a lot more opportunities, a lot more paths out there than what we see and what we can even imagine. Like I never imagined that I would be trading stocks just because I hated economics in college. Like I did that for my dad. I spent like half an hour before classes to do the homework, and then I ended up doing this for a living, and it's been my connections and my livelihood for everything. So never say never. All right. So thank you.